This is the reason why you should buy. And we're not asking the most important question, the reason why it was important for them, in their heart of hearts. Like, that's a sale. Then we're going to see results, the mindset, going into every opportunity, saying to yourself, I would love to have the business, but I don't need the business. When they talk about building their organization just through referral, that means they're missing it. The internet almost shut down because they're like, are you blind? Do you not know what's going on out there? Do you not see what's happening?
You just hit 250,000 cold calls. Congratulations.
That's it. Welcome to the Pipe Podcast. Hi, Dustin Bogle with me today. Dustin, so great to have you on, and so glad that you're here. Hey, I just want to, you got it. I'm your host, Cris with the Pipe Podcast, and we're going to talk about some exciting sales stuff today, and it's going to be really, really fun. So, we're going to talk about, everything that's going on in your kind of professional world, Dustin. I can't wait for you to share some of your experiences with the entrepreneurs and those business-minded, individuals that listen to the podcast and also watch it as well. And so I think you're going to get a lot of good stuff today. Hey, Dustin, I would like to start out this way. Obviously, you're the founder of Lead the Way Fitness, and I'm so excited to talk a little bit about that and some of the challenges that you've had, and maybe even some of the struggles, and then some of the successes as well. But let's back up a second and just tell the listening audience and the viewing audience, what part of the world you run and what you're doing with your life right now.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I'm among my brothers and sisters because I love sales. And so I know that the listeners and the viewers are in the same boat. So we're going to have some fun and add a lot of value. And definitely, yes, I come from the fitness world. That's my background. I own 2 gyms under the brand Lead the Way Fitness in Southern California. We have an online nutrition branch called Lead the Way Nutrition. And then I have a B2B sales service for gym owners called Gym Reinforcement. So those are the umbrella over all my companies. And so, there in Southern California, I lived most of my life there. Just 2 years ago, I moved to the Dallas, Texas area. So those are remotely ran, with me as an absentee owner, and spend majority of my time these days helping other gym owners to grow their brand and their business as well. And I'll just start, Crispin, by sharing like my big mission. I don't know how many of the viewers know this stuff. Again, I'm coming from the fitness world, so obviously I know these things more than the average bear. But the CDC actually just announced last year that we are on track to be a 50% obese country by the year 2030, which is really scary. And I think about people that have gone to the grave too early. And I have 2 from my family. My mom has 3 sisters, and only 1 is here with us. 2 died under the age of 50 from lifestyle-related diseases, cancer, stroke, heart disease. And so my mission in life is not just to get more members in my gym. It's to help all the gym owners across the country. There's 50,000 gyms across the country, to get them more members, because to me, we're at war with obesity. And the only way we're going to win that war is to help more people and more families to get healthy and fit. And again, back to that, people going to the grave too early. Well, that is entrepreneurs, business owners that maybe had the next big idea that we will never see because they took it to them at the grave. They say that some of the best ideas we've seen, or that we'll never know, are at the graveyard. And so how can we, see those things in our world is to extend their life, give them health, and fight them from, going to that early grave. So that's my big mission. And that's why I want to help gym owners and people in general get healthy and fit.
That's a great mission. I got to tell you, that's a great mission. And for the listeners and viewers out there, I just have to say, I am not one that frequents the gym. I'm one that frequents Jim Beam, but I don't frequent the gym, right? And so I probably need to do that more often. But how do you like get people excited to do that?
Yeah.
Dustin, how do you get people to understand, what you had just said, kind of the mission, and really to say, hey, part of this is doing it for yourself, and the other part is, kind of inspiring them, to do it, with you or for you, right?
Yeah. And anybody wants to become an expert in sales fast, go sell something that's painful, right? And that's what fitness is. You got to get up early. You're gonna have physical pain. You're gonna be sore. You got to give up your sweet treats and you got to eat your protein. You got to get to bed earlier, which means you can't stay up and binge watch. Like all the sacrifices that go with it, you are literally needing to sell. And this is not a fun sale to people. People love concert tickets and Disneyland and pizza and cupcakes. Like those are easy things to sell. That's why they don't need a sales team. They're just collecting money that's inbound to the company. Go sell something people absolutely have to sacrifice for. And man, you have to get good at sales. That's a crash course for sales. But yes, how do you get people? You have to always in sales link pain to the purchase decision, right? If there's no, people don't buy who are not in pain. We know that people are motivated by pleasure or pain. 10% of sales come from a pleasure and a gain. 90% of sales, there is a pain point. There is a problem that's trying to be solved. And so a lot of times people will just say, I have a sale, it's 50% off. I have a promo code, buy one, get one. We're running this special deal. And at the end of the day, there's no pain involved in that. You got to really speak to people's pain to get them moving. So when I'm talking to somebody about how to get them motivated to the gym, I have to get them to talk a little bit deeper pain than the surface level answer they tend to start with, which is like, hey, why are you here? Why'd you walk into the gym? Why do you want to work with us? And it's usually, I just want to feel better. I want to lose some weight, some very surface level generic answer. And my job, and the thing that I train people to do in gyms is they have to be like reaching for a tissue because they're crying now. They have to be like feeling vibrationally pain in their body. There has to be like a very serious tone in the room. That's when you can move somebody to make that decision. But if you're at that surface level, which you probably have heard many people say in sales, for logical level, we're at like level 1, underneath the water. We're like we're head is above the water and we're treading and life is good. You have to grab someone's legs and pull them underneath the water, make them feel like they're drowning, literally create that like I'm gonna die pain. Then somebody will make that decision to go forward to get healthy and fit. So
yeah, now you're getting me excited. When we're talking about sales, because David, our friend David Sandler, Sandler, for those that are listening, he says that there's 3 levels of pain, right? There's the surface level pain, which you talk about. Then there's the pain to the organization, or in this case, maybe to the family, right? And then there's the personal level of pain, that 3rd level of pain that we're going to try to get to. And that's what we always, always, always should be working towards, is how do we get to that 3rd level of pain? Because that's going to inspire, right, those individuals to make a change. Because when the pain is great enough to make a change, then that's the only time that it's going to happen.
Yep.
Right. And so I love what you're talking about. And we talk about that in training. We talk about in training and coaching and mentoring, with Sales Arbiter. And it so much aligns with all of that. It's just great stuff. Good stuff, Dustin. All right. So tell me what happens, when you think about it. You've got 2 locations now, right? You've got 2 primary locations, and then you help others to grow their businesses as well, which I think is phenomenal, right? So the first one, it's kind of like having the first child, right? Yeah. You're not quite sure what's going like there's no manual, like you can read all the, you can read all the books, you can do all this stuff, but really you have to experience it and you have to live that, right? And then the second one, I don't know. Are we putting the guards on the, on the plugs? Are we making sure, that everything's locked up? Are we covering all the sharp corners? Maybe, right? Maybe. So what was the experience that you had? First of all, let's talk about, some of the things that you did, and especially for those entrepreneurs that are listening this morning, what are the things or the challenges that you had when you opened your first one, lessons learned, and then how did that make it easier for the second one?
Yeah, I think probably a lot of people resonate with this, and that is I tried to do the one-man show game. Like, I'm going to keep my team lean, literally me, and I'll be able to be way more profitable. But you tend to find when you grind against that, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? And you quickly realize it is worth it to hire and to delegate so that everything in the company can be ran by someone who is strong in their area, right?
Mhm.
And so there's a great tool I love that you could quickly do on a piece of paper, just called a delegate and elevate tool. And so you put 4 quadrants. And so in the upper left is things you love to do. In the upper right is things you like to do. Things in the bottom left are things you like to do, but you don't like doing them. And then, or sorry, you're good at them, but you don't like to do them. And then the final one is things you hate. They just drain your energy. They zap your energy, and you dislike them. So for me, again, I'm probably gonna be like a lot of salespeople. That bottom right corner is administrative work. I love hunting, I love talking, I love selling, I love closing, and then it's got to be put in the CRM, and then an agreement needs to be filled out, and then all the legal stuff has to happen. I would just get zapped on energy. And so I quickly realized, man, I could hire somebody $15 an hour. That was my bottom right, is their upper left. They love it. They love organizing. They love spreadsheets. They love putting people into the CRM. And so I say you want to be in your top 2 boxes always. Anything in the bottom 2 is going to be actually the inverse of somebody else you need to hire. Like your bottom 2 is their top 2. They love and like it, what you dislike and hate. And so at that first location, I quickly realized that my strength is sales and coaching at the beginning. I need to be coaching sessions to retain the people, or I need to be selling people and getting more people in. And that's kind of me, running that front door. I say sales and marketing, someone's holding the front door open and inviting people, come on in, come on in. But then coaching is we got to lock the back door. That's the fulfillment, the delivery. Like, people will stay. If they're not happy, they'll walk in the front and they'll walk out the back. And so essentially I, really identified these are my strengths. And then I made my first hire. And at first you're scared because, again, you don't want to let go. You want to just keep everything to yourself. You are afraid someone's not going to do as good of you. But I would say, hey, if they can do 80% of the job as well as you can, it is well worth it. And so I brought that person in. And what that unlocked for me, Crispin, is the ability to think about, hiring as a good thing, not like I lost money. Oh man, I don't get this money anymore. Like now I'm, paying them. Like, no, this freed up my time. And so my job is to constantly buy back my time and to protect those high ROI activities where I bring the most in for the business, and to not get caught up in the minutia and the small stuff in the name of saving money. And so that person, that first hire that did it well, allowed me to feel confident that I can build a team and I can, delegate more over time, which eventually I did. One of my companies, we now have 50 people. The second company, we have 20 people. So obviously I have to release a lot of details these days.
Right. Well, I mean, you say it so eloquently, and I'm sure it wasn't that easy, because I mean, when you talk about it, it's like that first hire is so critical. It's so critical. And that's where I find, those organizations that we serve, I find that they almost have a defeatist attitude when that first hire doesn't work out.
Yes.
And that's when, and I'll probably use maybe some phraseology that you use at the gym, man. You got to dig deep. Like you can't let those challenges or those failures, stop you from your goal.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So how do you communicate that, not only in your business, but how do you communicate that to those that use, your gym, those that are members, those that come in? How do you communicate that to them? How do you keep them motivated?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that everything rises and falls on leadership. And if that hire that was brought in was the wrong fit, you as the leader failed. It wasn't a failure. It's only a failure if you didn't learn from it, right? It's a learning lesson is a better way to phrase failure. So just say, okay, well, that person didn't work out. Doesn't mean everybody in the world is a bad hire. That person was not the right fit. Maybe my hiring process is broken. And as a leader, I need to take responsibility. I need to go fix it. What did the job postings say? How did I screen for it? Did I do a good job onboarding them and training them? Or did I do a quick rush job on one day and expected them to get it, right? And so there's a couple tools I teach people in my book, which I know we'll get to later, but one of them is essentially the number one root cause of problems in a business is communication. And a lot of times the person was not a good fit and didn't work out good is because you failed to communicate what you want, your expectations, their KPIs, how you want things done, and really communicating that. And then of course, communicating how it ties into the mission. Because I'm very like type A, go, go, go tasks. I need you, I'm hiring you, do these tasks, get to work. And I had to learn, I need to explain how these tasks tie into our mission. If our mission is to help moms get healthy and fit, how does you putting stuff in an agreement work? Or into a CRM. Well, if you put it in wrong and she gets double drafted, she loses trust with us. And then she's going to cancel. I lose a member. And then now she might leave saying, I don't trust gyms because this gym did me wrong. Right. So could you see how this small task can lead to a person's opinion about us? Like, that's why we have to have attention to detail. And so I didn't have that, communication skill in the beginning. I had to learn it. But it's one of those things that everything that's broken your business, first step is accept that it's your fault. You opened this business. You chose to run it. No one asked you to. You did it. And then the second thing is don't think people are failures. Systems are failures, right? There was a system that broke that caused you to be where you are today. And so that is freeing in the sense that, man, I just got to go fix a system somewhere. And now it will be fixed forever. It's not a person's fault. It's a system's fault. And now you can think more clear about how to build your business.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Pipe podcast. So I'm not sure if we said this when we opened, but we talk about process, initiatives, prospecting, and experiences. And what you're talking about is process and how important that process is and how important that, and we keep coming back to that. Like, it's all the prep that you do, that helps you to get to that next step in your business and set those goals. Like, if you're setting, and don't set the goal the day of, set the goal, the day before, the week before, the month before, the year before. Like, that's what's so important about goal setting, right? So let's talk about that goal setting piece, because how do you inspire people to make sure that not only that they're setting their goals, that they're staying on track, that they're kind of following, whether it's they're committing to a process. What does that look like in your world, Dustin?
Yeah, again, another leadership failure. I used to set my team's goals for them. I used to say, this quarter, I need you to sell this many people. This quarter, I need you to do this. And then what do you think I was met with? A ton of friction, a ton of rebellion, and nobody likes to be told what to do. Even though they've joined your team and they believe in the mission, that's just how we're wired. We don't like to be, ordered around. So a lesson that I learned is that you have to first let them and lead them set their own goals. And then from there, it could be up for debate. Maybe you could challenge you, say, I think you're playing small. You think that's all you could do this quarter? I believe in you so much, right? And so people are always going to be more invested in their own ideas versus somebody else's idea. And so the goal of this kind of area of business is to learn how to lead your team, not trying to say manipulate or trick them, but let the starting point be their idea and then build from there. And so a lot of times, I'll tell you, 9 out of 10 times my team has set a goal and it's exactly the goal I had in my mind, but it sounds better when it's coming out of their own mouth versus me, right? AKA the boss. And so if they're like, I think I can hit this number, I was like, oh my God, that was the exact number I was thinking. Awesome, let's do this. And now I'm charged up about their idea rather than trying to spend energy charging them up about my idea. And so that's exactly how we approach goals, is like we do have floors where, just culturally people understand this is a floor goal. Like, you can't go below this. You're way below our standards here in this company.
Yeah.
But then in terms of like a stretch goal, we let the person, like think about what they got going on at home or if they're traveling coming up, and like then decide what they feel like they can achieve. And that goes for a client trying to lose weight to a team member trying to hit a sales goal. Like, honestly, it's just, humans. Even my son, we were planning his summer camp, and then another cool, program popped up on our Facebook, and we're like, hey, do you want to do this? And my son's 10. He's like, Dad, I got already two programs I'm committed to, and then I got a third, and he's like, I think I'm going to hold off on that one. And I was like, man, I'm proud of him. Knowing when to say no is very difficult, right? But it applies to anybody.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, it's just great stuff. And I hope the listeners are picking up these nuggets because it's really good. All right, let's pivot for a second. I don't know how you had time to do it. I really don't. But let's talk about the book. All right. So, because you're building your business, 2 locations, helping other organizations grow, and then somewhere or another, I don't know, you figured out a way to squeeze in a book too. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. And you're right. It was one of those things that I knew, and I had to prep my wife, and I had to tell myself, I'm going to go into this, grind mode for the period of time it's going to take to write it. It was about a 6 to 9 month process, 12 revisions, but it's something that I'm proud of because it is 20 years of being a trainer. It's 13 years of being a gym owner compressed into one book. That's $15 on Amazon. Like, think about that. Anytime you get a book, you're getting someone's lifetime of knowledge in one concise place for a very low amount of money. And so, boom, there you go. Like, it's not a huge investment, but one of my things that I was mindful about is, although it's called Reinforce Your Gym, I really tell people, think of it as it being called Reinforce Your Business, because the 3 main sections, if every business fixed these areas, they would 10x, no problem. And so section 1 is about building your lead machine. Like, how do we get leads flowing in a nonstop way where you don't even have to worry about it and you can move on to other areas of your business. Section 2 is sales multipliers. This audience would love that section, but it's all strategies on how to get either more money from your existing customers, or find more ways to collect and make sales from your existing database. And so that's all about multiplying your sales. Just think of, the fitness examples in there and just ask yourself, how could it apply to my business? And then the third is leadership, and it's called How to Build Your Dream Team. And honestly, you can attract type A people, or I should say level 10 people if you're a level 8 leader, right? And so followers only follow strong leaders. And so you got to build yourself up to be a strong leader to attract the best talent in the talent pool. I hear gym owners all the time, man, it's hard. I can't find people. I'm like, what work are you doing on yourself? Because again, we're pointing the finger outward. Like, they're not applying. They're not interested. Well, how good is your job offering, right? And like, how good of a leader are you, and how captivating is your mission? I don't have any problems finding people. I'm in the most competitive fitness market in the world, Southern California. We got a waiting list of coaches, right? So again, I would say do your self-work first. I'm a big believer. Again, you'll see a lot of lead in my stuff, but it's lead yourself, lead others, and then lead always. So that's the order you got to take it to get those people to come on board. But yeah, that's the 3 sections of the book. Again, it could apply to any business model.
That is so good. That is so good. And one of the things that you just said that kind of resonates with me is, man, nothing happens overnight. Like, do you know how many business owners that we consult with, and organizations that we work with, and I have to consistently remind them, Dustin, that, hey, it didn't get this way overnight, and I'm not going to be able to fix it overnight. Like, like that is just not, that it's just not reasonable. And they always want it to happen more quickly. I get that. Like, everybody wants the result. We live in this world of instant gratification. The holidays are now times that maybe we just get the one benefit is, we get together as a family, but no one has to wait for anything anymore. If my young son wants something, my wife and I just get it, but just buy it. Right. If and we try to make sure that we're instilling the right values, for our children. But it's just so instant gratification. If I want a triple venti latte with caramel, whatever, macchiato, I don't even know how to order that damn thing. But, I just go get it. I just go buy it, right? I don't have to make it. Like, I don't have to do anything, right?
Mhm.
And so how do you inspire or deal with conceptually with that in your business as well?
Yeah, and I definitely think social media is a huge part of that because we have access to so many successful people at our fingertips, and social media is a highlight reel of people's successes, but there's no way to go back and watch all the tough things they went through and all the entrepreneurial scars and all the difficulties
Mm.
that they went through. And so essentially, it's one of those things that people see you at the end result, which is the final outcome, the success, the money, the fit body, but they don't see what it took to get there. They don't see that fitness person saying no to the bread basket and no to the person who says I'm going to get donuts and no to the husband that brings home the pizza on a Friday night. Nothing on social media shows all the discipline and the hard work and the sacrifice that
That's
goes
right.
into it. And so, we just see a fit person and we say, lucky them, they got better genes than me. They were blessed with a faster metabolism. Or we see a successful business owner and we just say, oh man, they're just a natural. They're just built to be a CEO. They're built to be a business leader. And they don't
Yeah.
see all the stuff that happens. So I'm so glad you're bringing that up because not enough people are talking about it. We're just thinking that what I see on social media is what I will get if I begin tomorrow. And that is absolutely not the case. You have to
Mhm.
basically acquire skills and traits and mindset over time. And so basically, it's almost like rewinding the clock and reverse engineering the outcome of the person you want. And then asking yourself, okay, if we have to start from day one, what needs to happen for them to get to this person? So like if we want to build a great coach, say, okay, first of all, they have to know how to deliver great workouts. And so we're going to put that into our training manual. Then we're like, hey, they need to be able to have compassion and empathy because people are going to be down on themselves if they've put in a hard month and then the scale didn't budge. So we need to build that into our training manual, and so like that end result is what we call in our organization a world-class coach. What is a world-class coach? Let's identify the skills they have. They know about training, they know about nutrition, they know about recovery, and then they know how to communicate well and they know how to be empathetic. And so if I could build out almost like this team member avatar,
Mhm.
now I can go back to the beginning of my training and I can install these things into them. So when it comes to the other side, boom, the conveyor belt spit out a world-class coach. And so that's why I got a team of them at our gyms because we've systemized this. And so, when it comes to sales, people will even say, man, the leads are no good. I'm sure you've heard this, Cris, been like, the leads are no good. The leads suck. Nobody's buying. And I say, nobody shows up to your organization as an ideal customer. You don't find them, you make them. You have to teach people how to do business with your company. You have to tell them how to act step by step. I'm no ideal clients on day one, but
Mhm.
after day by day, we train them how to be an ideal client. And then now they've been with us many years and we're like, man, that's one of our favorite clients. That's not how they started. We literally
Yeah, right.
trained them. You got to be on session, on time to your sessions. You need to, this is our policy, and so we just showed them how to act. And then what do you know? We have hundreds of ideal clients. So
Mm.
again, with your leads, you have to talk to them about how to do business with you and how to move through the process so that they become that perfect. Because I bet if you identified, you're like, okay, they take action on all the services and products we offer. They refer often, they communicate well. And so if you're like, okay, cool, this is your perfect customer, how can you screen that out when you're, doing your qualifiers or when you're putting out marketing? Maybe you even have like a bar where like, do not apply if your company is not bringing in this much money, right?
Right,
So,
right.
these are the things that you have to do to get that ideal outcome. So even with our team, because like you said, like people can be very jaded and think they get things instantly. I think it comes down to another leadership lesson. I explain this on day one when they join the company. Hey, you're going to come in, you're going to see a successful coach that's got a full book of clients. That will
Right.
not be you for months. And so let's set that expectation up now that it's going to take time. And I think it's a matter of,
Mm.
just exactly how you did it. Like we don't voice the expectation. We don't communicate that this is how things go. And then we get frustrated down the road when people are not having eye to eye expectations with us. So I believe all business owners, you should have what I call a vision day, that when you onboard your new team members, you give them like a company history, like, hey, this is where we've been. This is how our company came to be. And then you set expectations of all the ugliness on day one so that nobody gets caught off guard. You know, like, hey, these things happen here. And these are things that people think is going to happen. And that's not going to happen to you. And essentially just like set the ground rules from day one, set the expectation. And that's a good thing for the CEO, in my opinion, to do for their company with their new hires.
It's so good. And it's not just on day one, Dustin. You know, when we talk with organizations too, we say that's something that you have to consistently think about doing all the time. Set a cadence for it. Make it monthly, make it quarterly. People like to hear from the leadership. They want to know where we're going. They want to know what's happening next. Like, they want to be a part of it. And, you know, going back to what you had said before, you know, anytime that we set, you know, goals, anytime that we set some sort of a direction for the organization, we at Sales Arbiter, when we help other companies do that, and I'm sure you do this too, we don't do that. Do not do that in a vacuum. Like, if you're doing that in a vacuum and then you're just trying to dictate that to those individuals that are going to carry out that task, you're dead. Like it's over. Because I'm telling you, you will not get the buy-in. You will not get the buy-in, and it will impact the culture of the organization in a way that you would have never expected. Right?
100%.
And so that is so key. It's such a key component to growing any organization or any business, is just making sure, man, listen, we're going to do this together, and maybe it's going to hurt a little. You know, it's going to hurt a little. It's going to pinch, right? It's going to poke. It's going to hurt a little bit, but we're doing it for the right reasons, and that's because we want to grow the organization and the culture, and we want to get to that next level, right? And so that's just so vitally important. I just love what you're laying down today. It's awesome. Like I want to go do some, I want to go work. I want to go run. I want to go do some weights right now. I want to make something happen. Right. I just love it. So let's talk about the rest of this year and next year. If you were to say, hey, listen, you know, here are 3 lessons that I learned and what I'm seeing in the marketplace right now, not only in your industry, but maybe more globally, you know, if you're not doing these 3 things with your organization and your business, then you are missing it. What is it, Dustin? What are those things?
Yeah, I'd say the first thing is we're talking a lot of leadership stuff here, but number one, I think it's resetting the expectation of how hard it's going to be to grow, because growth is painful, you know, and there's just no getting around it. And you might have conflicting expectation. Your team might be saying, we're good, let's just maintain. And then you as the leader might, no, we got to drive, we got to go. And you could see how these worlds will collide if it's not set as an expectation that we are choosing to grow. We will be growing. You guys can anticipate things to get a little bit more hectic around here. And so I want to always be putting that in my team's ear. But when we are in a growth mode, because in fitness, there are times it is not the right time to grow. For example, December, Santa always wins in the fitness world. In December. We're not ever going to win that war. So that's a time to have that, you know, intuition to say, I got to give the team more time off. We got to pump the brakes a little bit. This is not growth mode, because guess what? I'm going to hit that gas pedal in January. So you got to know your cycles and know your business and know when is it. You know, we all want it January through December, but I would say that's the number one way to burn out your team. There's got to be a downtime that you're choosing to, you know, pull back a little and put more time into the team's care so that they're there for you when it's time to go into growth mode. But the first thing I would say is set that expectation of, there's the book probably a lot of people have heard of, Grant Cardone, the 10X, rule. And he talks a lot about setting 10X goals. You want 10 million, shoot for 100 million, just setting these crazy big goals. But I think there's a very great lesson that most people miss when they read that book. And that is when he states it will also be 10X harder. There will be 10X more work. It will cost 10X more money. You're going to have to put in 10X more time. Nobody catches that in the book. Everybody sees the positive note, which is set the big goal. But he also sets the expectation it's going to be 10X harder. So I think the first thing to do is set that expectation with your team. We're in a growth mode and it's going to be hard, guys, but we're smart and we're going to figure it out and we're going to get there. I think that's the number one thing a lot of business owners are missing with their team. The second, I would say, is looking at your business at not as a right angled growth trajectory where you just see that like that diagonal line that just goes up the graph. Most businesses don't grow like that. They grow in the way of a staircase. There's some sort of big thing they implement that causes growth, but then they plateau and they level out. Then they do something else and then they plateau and level out. So for me, back to my example was I saw growth and when I opened the gym and then I leveled out. Then I hired that administrative person and I saw growth. She freed me up and then I leveled out. Then I hired an evening coach and now I don't have to coach evenings. I can sell. And then we leveled out. And so if you go back and look at your company history, you probably will see it's more like a staircase, not like a nonstop trajectory of growth. So ask yourself, and this is something good for the leadership team, what's our next staircase? What's the next thing we need to do that's going to lead to growth? And then how will we identify when that growth is plateaued out? Right. That's and so talk about that with your team. Like what is, you know, because then it makes everyone think bigger. Staircase growth, guys, not just more of what we're doing, something big. How are we going to make that happen? Right. So talk about big ideas with your team, have a dreaming session, have, you know, out of the box thinking. That would be the second thing I would say to get you out of the headspace where the news and everybody's saying we're going through a recession, it's downtimes. There's so many businesses that grow. So you got to get your team dreaming because otherwise they'll go to nightmares, right? And you got to get them to think big, right? The third and final one I would say is that there's got to be definitely one-on-ones between leader and direct report. And so your leadership gets dissipated the bigger the group gets. So if I'm having a one-on-one with a team member, we're having the highest level of connection, the highest level of mentorship because they feel safe and they're getting one-on-one attention. The minute I say, hey, now it's a department meeting, I'm going to get all the salespeople, I immediately, the lack of personalization goes down because let's say there's 4 salespeople, right? So now I'm going to have a small group. Now I say it's an all hands on deck company meeting, all 50 people are coming in. Immediately your leadership gets dissipated because of the size of the group. And so I know I'm privy to lazy leadership too. And it's not that I want to be lazy, but I'm trying to think in the terms of time efficiency. It's more efficient. If I say what I need to say and everybody can just hear it, we can move on. But you have to ask yourself, what is going to go over well in a large group environment and what needs to be delivered one-on-one so it lands harder, lands better, and that person can ask all the follow-up questions with you right then and there. I think something that's missing in most organizations is the amount of one-on-ones that are needed for the business to grow. A lot of times you got to do a little bit more hand-to-hand combat to grow the company rather than all hands meetings. So those are 3 things that come to mind for me, Crispin, that are not said enough.
Yeah, that is good stuff. That is good stuff. Hey, well, listen, I'm so happy you've been on today. This is typically when we pivot to the Sales Arbiter 7. And, you know, this part, the listeners and the viewers really enjoy because, you know, I took a page out of our friend James Lipton, you know, Inside the Actor's Studio. And I just ask some, you know, maybe what may be considered a little off the wall questions for people to get to know you a little better and maybe some things that they didn't know about you. So I hope you're game for that.
Let's do it. I love it.
All right, let's do it. I don't think you ever shy away from a challenge, so that's good. So the first one is, what's your favorite word, Dustin? What's your favorite?
Man, that is I have to get very, very precise with that. But I think it's going to be leadership.
Leadership. Tell me a little bit about that.
Because I just feel like all of your life problems and all of your life solutions are found inside of leadership. And whether it's you leading yourself better, thinking differently with your mindset, getting more healthy, learning more, pushing yourself, that's all inside of that lead yourself category. Then lead others is like, it's very selfish to just work on self-development all the time and never share what you're learning with other people, pulling other people along. I'm a big believer in what I call 360 leadership, which is you need to be reaching above somebody that's gone farther than you, someone that is a mentor, you know, hire a coach, a business coach, a mentor. Then there's the side to side where you're now going to your peers. And this is where you're teaching and you're sharing and you're having meetups and you're talking to other people at the same level of you. And then there's reaching below, which is someone that's way behind you. Maybe they're just getting started in sales, getting started in business, and you're doing, tithing with your time, tithing with your knowledge, and you're just helping somebody and pulling them up to your level. So that's what I call, that 360 leadership. And so that's first leading yourself so you can do that, and then leading others, and then just leading always to the day you die. So that's why I love leadership.
That's powerful. That's powerful. I love it. What's your least favorite word?
No.
I've gotten that one before. That was pretty self-explanatory. I think so. I like it. What's something that could make your day?
Honestly, it's going to come down to just helping somebody like reduce the amount of stress on their shoulders. Like I just like helping people. It's just like innate in me. And so if I just get a sense that I've helped somebody just enough to say, wow, like the load feels lighter, I got less weight on my back, that makes my day. So whether it's a client literally losing weight, a business owner finding a way to make things simpler for them and reducing the weight of their business. My wife, if there's things around the house here that are stressing her out, and I can find a way to take that weight off her shoulders, like that's what I like seeing in people, is that like, oh man, there's good people out there that want to help me. I'm not alone. That makes my day.
That's great. That's great. What's something that could ruin your day?
My kryptonite by far is negativity. Like I look to cut it as quickly as possible. Cannot spend a lot of time around negative people, hearing a lot of complaining. It just drains me. I start getting irritable. I start getting angry. I start, it does what it's meant to do. Negativity spawns more negativity.
Right.
And so I have to be really mindful about protecting myself from people that are overly negative, pessimistic, complaining. So that will ruin my day real fast.
That's it. That's good. That's good. What's a sound or noise that you love?
Silence, because I don't think we get enough of it these days. So no noise, no sound. My kids are at school and I have my office quiet. And this is something I've actually learned about. A lot of entrepreneurs are noise triggered. It's not a specific noise, just noise in general pulls them out of focus. They hear even small things. We're very hypersensitive individuals. What we see details, we hear details, we feel more than most people. So I think a matter of getting in a very quiet place is very beneficial for most entrepreneurs.
Right. That's great. Mine is the car. Yeah, when I'm in the car, turn off the radio. Just gives me that silence. I love it. What's a sound or a noise that you hate?
Probably arguing. People, like just hearing just two people, whether I know them or I don't. It goes back to that hyper feeling. Like I literally feel other people's pain. I could just see a couple fighting or two kids fighting, and like I just feel like I'm involved in it. And so I do not like to hear that. Again, that's probably why I'm very solution minded, because I want, and why I speak a lot on communication too, because I feel like most fights and arguments are communication based. And if one or both sides could have communicated better, we probably could have not had that. Countries fighting and going to war because they couldn't communicate, divorces because they couldn't communicate, friendships lost. So I hate the sound of arguments, I would say, for sure. And
That's good. What profession other than your own would you have liked to attempt?
So we didn't dive into this, but this is kind of a fun fact about me. I actually was a pro wrestler for 10 years of my life. And I'm talking baby oil, elbow drops, Hulk Hogan style wrestling.
Yeah, I love it.
I kind of feel like I did that. And it was just basically two things. I did not end up finding that I was the right fit for the business model, you could say, because you got to be a night owl. Like you're out till 2 a.m., like you're just living that rock star life. And there you go. And I'm a morning person. So there is no morning wrestling shows. It's like, if you get me up at 8 a.m. for a wrestling show, let's go. But I got to be up till midnight for my match. So it was a lifestyle, conflict, and then just bodily breakdown, getting slammed, getting elbow dropped, my back starting jacked up. And so I stepped away and went all in on the fitness industry. So I kind of feel like I did do that profession, but if I could not have any pain and I could jump back into it, I would love to get back in the ring and do more of that.
That's really great. That's great. It's great stuff. Well, listen, it has been a treat having you on, really, Dustin. I mean it. And you've just shared so much of your experience and knowledge and what you've done to really grow yourself personally and professionally, which it means the world to me. Hey, how do people find you? How do they get a hold of you? How do they find your locations, your gym? How do they get involved with you?
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, if anybody's wanting to get healthy and fit, we obviously, if you're in SoCal, you can come to our gyms, Lead the Way Fitness. We can coach you remotely with Lead the Way Nutrition. Just send me a DM. I'll get you signed up on that. We do work with a lot of entrepreneurs, but I would say my favorite thing that I would point you guys to is, of course, the book, Reinforce Your Gym, or if you're not in the fitness industry, it's called Reinforce Your Business. And essentially, one of the things that I love to answer is just sales process questions. If someone wants feedback on their sales process, just send me a DM, tell me how it goes. I don't have any, thing to sell you on that. It's just me wanting to help you out. I've helped a lot of landscape company, a pool company, an online coach, a few others. Just say, hey, here's how we do it right now. Give me some feedback. And so that's just me giving back to, again, the industries that I work with. So those are some ways to, kind of reach out. I'm on Facebook and Instagram under my name. And then I have a Facebook group for gym owners called Fitness Made Simple. Or Fitness Sales Made Simple. So essentially you can jump in and you can learn how to sell more fitness programs there. So that's that.
That is great. That is great. Well, it's been wonderful having you on. Thank you so much, Dustin, for being a part of the Pipe Podcast today. And I always close like this. Listen, keep selling and have fun doing it. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.
This is the reason why you should buy. And we're not asking the most important question, the reason why it was important for them, in their heart of hearts. Like, that's a sale. Then we're going to see results, the mindset. Going into every opportunity, saying to yourself, I would love to have the business, but I don't need the business. When they talk about building their organization just through referral, that means they're missing it. The internet almost shut down because they're like, are you blind? Do you not know what's going on out there? Do you not see what's happening?
You just did